Talking to y'all soon. Peace.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Terrence. Welcome back to another season of Relentlessly Real Podcast. So excited to have you all back. We got a lot of great stuff. Check us out.
You're now listening to The Real.
Man, I appreciate them dudes for talking about
The Raw.
Wait, they were talking about
The Relatable.
That's exactly what I've been going through.
The Relentlessly Real Podcast.
Welcome to the Relentlessly Real Podcast, where we discuss real, we discuss raw, and we discuss relatable conversations, topics, etc. My name is John. What's your name?
My name's Mike. What's your name?
And I am still assistant manager at a Best Buy kiosk.
Man, let me tell you something. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I finished watching that episode and I had to double back and start laughing again about that particular. I fast forwarded to everything else. I said I gotta laugh at the fact that my boy was Best Buy kiosk.
The highlight.
I got hit up, text messages, phone calls, for that specific part.
It was funny, man. It was
and I thought about it over the week. I'm like, this nigga John definitely got a lot of iPhone charges from me, and I could have swore a pair of Beats at that same kiosk.
And let me tell you something, we're still even. You know why? Actually, you still owe me. Because you've taken Armani exchange shirts and hats and things out of that I was like, where are my things? And Terrence walking around fly as I don't know what in the street.
Nah, right? He wearing that joint as a house shirt now.
He cleans it now. I know.
Cleaning up poop. Like
wow. Well, that was unnecessary. But guys, welcome to another episode of the Relentlessly Real Podcast, where we discuss real, raw, relatable content, man. We love to talk about different things that are associated with the Black community, with men, with women, etc., etc. And as you guys know, every single time we have the podcast, we like to start off with a question of the day, and I'm actually excited about this one. I have two of them, and so the first one I'm trying to figure out as I'm talking to y'all right now which one I wanted to do. But the first one I guess I'm going to say is this one here. What is something you wish you knew about sex before you started having it? What is something you wish you knew about sex before you started having it? Terrence, I'm worried about what the first thing might be that comes to your mind.
I'm chilling.
I'm concerned. I look at Terrence because his face is like going in. Oh, where do I start? Anything, gentlemen? What is something you wish you knew about sex before you started having it? I know I'm taking y'all back a bit in life.
Yeah, too, right.
Because this is you're dusting off the portfolio of past situationships. But
I'm a virgin. So.
You're a what? You're a Virgo? Oh, a Virgo. Okay. I thought I heard you correctly. What's something that you wish you knew? Because here's the thing. Here's what made me think about this. There was so much expectation about sex. And of course, we remember back in the day when you're in school and everybody's talking about it, and it gets you enticed and excited about it and the experience of it all and everything. And I actually remember having conversations with people that had it, and I was like, man, what was it like? Like, yo, you did it. Yo, what? Talk to your boy. Talk to your boy. I need details. I need to know. So was there anything that you wish you knew now, or maybe a couple years ago after you had it? Is there anything you wish you knew?
I wanted to be really funny and make a joke, but honestly, I wish I was told, or I wish I had someone around to let me know, especially a male figure, of how it can complicate things even for men. I really do. I just wish I wish it was like someone could just say, like, don't be in a rush, like chill, slow up, like I really feel like if I can impart wisdom to my children, is that sex will bind you to people that you should not be bound to. And that is just like wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I wish,
It's very serious. That's a very serious direction. I didn't think you were going to go. Go ahead, Michael.
So I was headed in a similar direction, but more so like the binding part, right? Binding to people. I wish somebody kind of warned me about like the issues that would come up with like the binding to me as well, right? So like issues that come up and say, if something like that does happen, then later on down the line, if you see that person like in the street, say if y'all not talking anymore or something like that, and you see that person in the street, you're sitting back in there thinking in your mind like, the last memory I have of you is
I hit that.
Yeah, that's
whoa.
That's the last memory I got.
I'm only. I might.
Where you start, you don't just say. You don't say, "Hey, whatever her name is." You say, "I hit that."
Mike said it.
That spills out.
Listen,
you don't even get a chance.
and those are the things where it's like you sit back and evaluate relationships and all that other stuff, and then it starts taking you down memory lane, like stuff you don't really want to be thinking about. I'm talking about like 10 years, whatever, later on, you sitting back here thinking, reminiscing on stuff, and then you like it brings up things you probably don't want to think about, right? Like especially from a level of maturity, you're in totally different relationships now, totally different area of your life, and then when you decide to when you end up seeing that person again, you got to tread lightly through conversation, trying to figure out how to navigate it, because that could literally be either the last time you had a convo with that person or interaction with that person was having sex, or it could have been like a bad sexual experience. It could have been a good sexual experience. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just certain stuff I just don't want to think about. Just full transparency, I've run into people like within the past few years that I have had relations with, and granted, those thoughts come to mind, but at the same time, you have as immediately as they come up, you have to immediately like shut down and be like, okay, just a person. We had relations. It's over and said and done with. Let's move on. Hey, how you doing? Be cordial. Boom. Let's keep it moving. If it goes beyond that, like, hey, we should catch up or something. No. I think we're good. I think we're good. It was nice seeing you.
I think we're all caught up.
I think we're all caught up.
I think you caught enough. I think you caught enough.
We have caught all the things that we need to catch.
Exactly.
Mine's is not nearly as serious. Actually, I was just like, man, it's really warm. It's warm. It's just
I
had no idea the warm.
You expected it to be cold?
I didn't think it was worried about me. He was worried about what I was going to say, and he comes up with, it's warm inside.
It's warm, and I didn't realize. I was like, this is nice. I like a lot. Yeah. It's warm. And I do agree with everything you guys just said, though. I'm trying to pivot to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the role of Terrence will be played by Jonathan Jones.
What
is wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with me. I said the very obvious things that you guys, would have, said. I'm like, I thought y'all were gonna go there first.
Alicia,
I literally said the same thing in my head, Alicia. It's a whole live.
It is a live person. Because I'm not into anything contrary to that. I just didn't realize the depth of the warmth. Amen. The depth of. We're not gonna. Okay, nobody understands. Okay, listen. I just want to have I thought we could all be adults and have a real conversation here. Okay. No, but in all seriousness, I do understand y'all's reluctancy with the binding portion of it all, because I actually don't think if I saw or see, I actually haven't ran into none of the people that I've had that type of situation with. I don't run into them randomly anywhere. Thank God. I guess I'm in the right sector of the earth that I've never had to see another person that I've had a relationship with like that. But I'm just wondering, I'm like, yo, I don't think it'll be awkward. I feel like enough time has passed where it's like,
nope, wait till what happens. Nope.
Really?
He don't know. Like
I disagree. I really disagree.
Here's the thing.
It was years ago. Like, what are we going to matter?
The thing I'm realizing, John, about this topic, and I remember I brought it up to my therapist before too, was like, she's like, it's normal. And I hate the way that that experience. If you do have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. It's good if you don't. But I hate how if you do have it, people who be like, "Why do you have that? That must mean something is still." No, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that. Like,
Like,
it should be more normalized than when it, like, people try to make it seem like. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means.
yeah,
It's just.
and at least and think about it from a perspective of, again, like, this is a moment that we experience with each other, especially if it was the last time I saw you. You know what I'm saying? Or the last like pivotal moment
Yeah.
within our relationship or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a normal thing to happen. Let's say if we all go to, I don't know, we go out of town, we go to Kings of Men or something like that, and that was the last time I spent time with whoever
That's
that person
happened.
was.
That has
Yo, remember
happened.
that time? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, remember that you're gonna remember
You
that
know, that
time
thought
that
that
you
you
were with
just
that person.
made reminded me of all the bus trips. Now, I will talk to the ladies, any ladies that I've had
Oh man.
on that Greyhound. There have been it's been some stuff going on down on the Greyhounds all over America, and I
What's
know
going
it.
on
In
the
the
Greyhound?
back area of Greyhounds, everywhere,
Really?
stuff has happened. Are you kidding me, Baltimore? I know you know what I'm talking
I
about.
don't
Right
take.
now.
I never took a
Oh,
Greyhound.
y'all just go outside. I forgot. So inside, inside on a cozy bus, the back area of the bus was where everything went down.
Are you speaking from personal experience?
Of course, I know. I'm
You
not
are
scared.
disgusting.
We all know what it was. Like when you go to the back of the
No,
bus.
actually, we all did not know what it was. In the
Michael,
back
you
of a
will not just
Greyhound.
shake your head. You will not just shake your head on this.
Thank you,
So
Alicia. Thank you.
personally, I have not experienced, but
A
I've
back of a
known people.
Greyhound.
But do you
I'm,
know what I'm talking about?
What
I
in
know
the
what you're talking about.
COVID is
I know what
going
you're
on
talking
here?
First of all, please. COVID came from Baltimore City. We all know that. That's public information. Everybody here knows that.
I will not
Trump,
debate.
Trump
I will
said it
not
came from
debate.
China. It came from Baltimore.
Maybe Dundalk, but not Baltimore City. I will not
And Seth is
debate.
right. The buses don't have to be cozy. But I'm just saying the reality of the situation is the back of that bus was on and popping. That's what made
I've
me think when
never
you said
experienced this.
when you said trips to Kings of Men, you know how I knew that? Because when I was in, and it's funny, it's the music part of my life where all the freaky things went down. It's crazy.
No.
But when I was doing stuff with the orchestras and all that, man, we would get on them trips, bruh. And they'd be doing a 1-day trip to wherever we going to, Hershey Park, Kings Dominion, whatever. And I was like, this is going down. Okay. You're my girlfriend for today.
What were
Okay.
you playing? What kind of music were you playing at these events?
We were playing classical. You know, I was a musician, classical.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't going doing gospel concerts.
I mean,
I wasn't going playing Kirk Franklin and then headed on the bus. I was
Right.
You right.
I wasn't singing melodies from heaven, but yeah. So that's all I have to say about the question of the day today. I think I've exposed enough of myself. The other thing I want to ask you is this. This is actually a good one. If your consciousness could talk, does it tear you down or does it build you up?
Oh, I hate you.
This is a heavy one.
Ooh.
If your consciousness could talk, does it tear you down or does it build you up?
Unfortunately, it tears me down first. I will admit that. Like, and I want to be careful with what I admit to be. I mean, yeah, consciousness, yes. But these are all wrapped in, fears, insecurities, things like that. And this is all like ploys of the enemy, right? I'm not going to go that deep with it, but we understand that's what that is whenever negativity comes first. I will be totally honest with myself because of just, stuff that I know I battle with. Tear down happens first, but like, I think the fighter in me goes into building up right after that. It's like, like I'm scared about what, say if I had an interaction with somebody at work that didn't go too well, or I'm sitting back self-conscious about whatever conversation I had. I'm sitting here picking the conversation apart. I'm like, man, I should have said something better, or man, I shouldn't have said that, or I can't believe that person said this to me and X, Y, and Z. But eventually it goes into like the building up, like, no, hold on, let's take it back for a second and think about, was there any other way I could have said that? No, I'm good. The moment has gone and passed. It is what it is. It's out there. And most of the thing that I can do is go back and at least like apologize if I said something crazy, or at least clarify the next day. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing we can do about our past. We just got to move forward. But I'm going too deep. To answer your question, yeah, tear down happens first and then the build up afterwards.
Tarika?
I don't have no build up. Unfortunately, it always does tear down.
Always
Like
tears down.
always. Yeah.
What
And
do you
like,
think that comes from? Because I really wondered about that
I
self-talk
struggle with.
thing.
I personally struggle with self esteem. I always do. And so like, I don't think it's per se anxiety. I think more so. I struggle with comparison, and I always feel like I'm not doing a great job. I'm not doing a good job. And then once that set in, it's just like it just keeps going, and like it's to the point where I'm just like I don't build it up back up. I just kind of have to honestly usually fall asleep, or other people around me will sometimes build it back up. So I'm literally in the process of working on, you know what I'm saying, like trying to like initiate it myself, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's a tough space to be in though. Like
It's horrible. It's horrible.
the build up, unfortunately, is harder than the tearing down. And I haven't necessarily like that gotten to a point where I can like figure out why that happens. Like, why is it human nature? Why is it easier for us to go towards the negative than the positive? Right? Like I just haven't gotten to that point yet where I was able to like figure out the, I guess, I don't want to say syntax. I'm thinking about work. Like the equation, right? Like what equal plus what equals the tear down or the negativity? Like what leads to that? And how can we like pick up on those triggers to be able to like stop it ahead of time? Before we get to the tearing down part, before we get to the negativity first. You know what I'm saying? I just haven't wrapped my head around that yet.
Yeah.
What y'all thoughts on that?
I think that's Mike would say. I think that's why one of my love languages is words of affirmation, because something that I kind of like need.
Do you think all men? I mean, I know we can't say, but I feel like most men need words of affirmation. Though I feel like that's like I wouldn't even venture to say that it's almost like a part of the packaging of almost every man. I would be surprised if a man's like, I don't need to be affirmed. Like I could just move through this earth.
I mean, unless the guy's narcissistic. I think a man who is narcissistic, he don't need it because he's already like. I would agree. Like I would think so.
Point. But I think it has to start from somewhere, right? Like you don't just come out the bat like narcissistic, right? You have to learn that. That's a learned behavior, in my opinion.
True.
But I think you got a point, John, in reference to like all men or most men needing that affirmation. I think it comes from societal like pressures being put on us. We have to make sure we provide for our families, or have to make sure we have the right jobs, and all these different things, the chasing that happens when we're trying to find a woman or a mate, right? Like all these different things or responsibilities that are upon us in that area, like in life. We need that affirmation to ensure like we're headed in the right direction. We are doing what we're supposed to be doing. And when we don't get that affirmation, it's like, okay, I don't know if I'm going in the right direction. I don't know if this is right or wrong. I could be wrong. I go into this negative mindset, what I'm saying, that we were just talking about, and trying to build back up, which sometimes doesn't happen. So you downward spiral, it just go way left. So that's what I think.
Yeah. I feel like over the last 5 years, I have put it's been a huge amount of money into self-development and personal development when it comes to the idea of building up. And just to this point of like consciousness and really more so listening to what my mind tells myself, and then seeing how I respond to what I hear. Like, what do I hear myself saying? And then how does that affect my flow of the day? How do I get through my day? Because based on what I think about myself, all those things, like to Terrence's point, your point, it matters about, because I think it's a thing of like how people view you versus how you view the world, or how you think the world views you. Like, I think the world sometimes views me as like, oh, you're confident, you got it all together, But then when the reality of it is dealt with, you're like, oh, I'm actually really not that confident. I actually really maybe don't feel that way about myself. I'm very unsure of what way I should go directionally and how I should get there, et cetera. And actually, one of the things I was hoping we were going to talk about last week that we never got to, because it's such an amazing, amazing episode. And once I stop being lazy and put it on Spotify, you'll be able to hear it there too. But it was an amazing episode. But I wanted to touch on, should men have a plan when it comes to being like even if like you're married now, but even when you first got married, right? Like, should you have had a plan? And I think sometimes women, I see these TikToks and all that, Instagram, whatever, where they're looking for a man to have a plan, and or they'll say, I'll follow him when he has a plan, when I can trust that he knows where he's going and knows what he's doing, all these things. And so it kind of made this question of like, yo, because men having a plan has to do with their consciousness and their self-talk, I think. Like, whatever you believe about yourself, whatever that is, good or bad, it's true because you believe it. Like, when you feed into the belief of it, it kind of adds value to it versus like not, right? So like when you don't believe in it, or if you, like Mike was saying, I first I get teared down and then I build myself up. Like, I believe you're trying to push against the tear down, right? When that happens. Terrence, but for Terrence, I'm like you said, I'm like, yo, when the stuff hits, what do you do with it? Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm really legit asking, because I'm like, I know I can go into a whole world of like, you suck. I can go into a whole world. I mean, I'll be there for like weeks. Like, yo, you suck in this area. You don't have this together. Look at this other, and then social media only adds another layer.
That's why I get off. That's the first thing I do is I get off. I disconnect. And I would say for the most part that usually works. I just disconnect
from social media.
So immediately off everything. Delete the app. Like, reduce it. I just disconnect.
So I really enjoy when I get an opportunity to have that, I guess, social media influence cleanse, if you will, because it helps me to sit back and reevaluate what's real. Social media can push out all of the, I guess, the positives of people's lives, right? All the things that they want people to see. So when all that you see is all the positive, that you would think that would go into a good direction, right? A direction of, okay, if I'm pushing out positivity and all this other stuff, that should motivate me to want to have those positive things. But people's lives and circumstances don't necessarily equate that. They don't always have what it takes to be able to reach those goals and things like that. So now that's when the negative teardown and all that other stuff comes into play. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to ignore this guy. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
that's true, Mike.
With that in mind, man, like that social cleanse helps me realize like what's real and what's not. Like where I am in like reality. You know what I'm saying? Versus what I see on social media, what I think is reality. Because it ain't.
Yeah.
Like
what John said earlier kind of made me think people, like when I if I get too close to somebody and I explicitly say like, I struggle with self-esteem, they be like, what? Like what? Because it's an internal thing.
Yeah.
It's an internal thing of self-worth. Like, and I think words of affirmation help. They do help, but it's just it's like really it's a constant like push in like to believe in yourself or recognizing what you have to offer. Like I remember even when I took this new job that I took, like I took it, it felt good that it felt really great for someone to call me and say, hey, I want you to work at my school.
Yeah.
And what happened was, and that, like, to be transparent, what happened was I actually was being sent to another school, which felt like rejection. Like it felt like we
oh wow,
we don't want you here. We want you at this school. And for somebody else to then call and say, hey, I recognize what you might have to offer. I want you to come to my school. It was just like, oh shoot, like that like felt good. But now it's like right now I'm in constant like I need to like impress, show them like I gotta show people that what I can do. Like what if they think what if I fail? What if what if I thought I was better than what I really was? And like honestly, no one is looking like that.
Nobody cares to the degree.
Nobody even cares to that level to like
and
then when you're sitting there like okay, I don't want to fit it. I'm like
and they're literally walking right by you, not caring.
By you. Yeah. Bro, like, I had a lady pull me aside today and was like, one of my teachers, mind you, like this, we only been back to work for 3 days. And a teacher pulled me aside to say, yo, real talk, I like how you're just attentive to things. Like literally, you're on it. It doesn't mean everything that you want gets resolved, but I appreciate the fact that you are like, if like you come straight down, like you're straight, like on point, which is what I think is my skill set. But I don't think she would know how to magnify how in my mind I'm still struggling on whether I'm doing a good job. So stuff like that like helps. Like
the
it
affirmation, man.
Yeah, it's a word of affirmation. And when people, if it's a love language, one thing I realize is it does not mean it's a love language from your spouse. It's a love language, period. It may be maximized when it's your spouse who does it, but it's a love language from your friends. It's a love language from your kids. Like if my son says, Dad, you're a really good dad. It's like, it's like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a love language. It's just period. And
I think it's.
Go ahead.
My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how this conversation is just going back in full circle. What we were talking about before about like not just being affirmed, but more so like the negative thoughts that come to mind. Like you got sent to another school based off of your accolades, like based off of the great things that you've done. But instead of focusing on the great things that you've done, it went towards the negative of like, yo, why like rejection? Why am I being sent away? Why don't they want to keep me type thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, and those, that just doubles back to what I was saying about like the ploys of the enemy, right? To try to like pull us down when it comes down to things that we're called to do, things that we know we've been gifted to do. We get so, I guess, caught up in like the lies that like the enemy tries to tell us within our own minds and our own spaces. Like, we could be in our rooms at night thinking about, okay, what I'm gonna do the next day, and you sit back and say, hey, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and you don't accomplish those things. You sit there and tell yourself down, oh, I didn't accomplish X, Y, and Z, instead of looking at the twos and fews that you did look at. You feel me? Like, it's I just think that's just a interesting concept, man, to keep in mind whenever we're like chasing certain goals and stuff. To not focus so much on the negative, but actually pull out the little positives that are making small steps, small strides towards like being greater and better.
Yeah, it's difficult to do in this climate. I mean, the reality is you don't get affirmed a lot, especially as a black man in America. Just being honest, you just don't. You're not about to be like, oh my God, you're an amazing individual. It's just not. And so a lot of times I know I've had to kind of look within myself to inspire, look within myself to self-generate that kind of like thing, that affirmation that I can do, within myself. And I'm looking, I look to obviously our crew as brothers as well. But I just think it's something that it's interesting to hear even Terrence say, somebody that is, I know, I've known for years and has been pretty dominant in kind of like, when we go out with people, like people will gravitate to T. When we go out, in spaces, I'm like, this guy. So you would think this guy has to be, confident and self-assured about himself or whatever. And he's over here like, man, I wish somebody would tell me how great it's within all of us to have and need that type of affirmation and feel like we are on a right trajectory. So I just think our consciousness, if we were to extract it, we do have to watch what it's saying to us. And that's really what I wanted to bring up that point for, because I think as 30-somethings and some of us, 40-somethings, we all have to evaluate who we are like being projected to ourselves. Because that, to me, that also stifles or it uplifts whatever we're trying to pull or extract out of ourselves. Like we can't be our best self thinking low of ourselves. And I always say, like, I always use this example. If everybody else is tearing me down, I cannot then go in the same line where everybody else is tearing me down, get in that same line and do the same thing to myself. Somebody got to be on the side where it's like, yo, you could do this. So if everybody else is like, yo, you suck, you're terrible, you're not smart enough, you're in a marginalized community, you don't have enough money, there's no way it's going to work. There's no reason for me to be like, let me also get in that line and say how much I suck too.
Somebody's already filling that gap. Like, where's the gap of positivity?
Exactly. Where's somebody going to be like, yo, you can do this, and I'm actually believing in you, So that's just one of those things. I'm hoping that you guys are also listening to that particular part of this conversation, because I hope it's helping one or two of you guys that are listening today. Listen, man, it's been a crazy week, and I want to get into this because the earth is actually, in fact, still ghetto. I know we don't talk about it as much, but
It is.
sometimes we actually have to show how ghetto it can be and become. So here it is.
Anything? Yes, Alright, so you gotta dig in the trash can. First thing you find food-wise, you just gotta eat.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yep.
I can't watch her do that.
So then they go to Balenciaga. She picks out the shoes she wants,
Okay, I'll take these.
and they walk out the store. So if you're driving your car right now, you don't know what just transpired. This young white woman just saw the game in the store and basically went into he's playing a game, I guess. If they go into the trash can and either eat or drink the very first thing that they see, then he will go into a Balenciaga store and purchase them something from there.
This is
Is
so
the earth
sad.
ghetto or not? I mean, I just want to know, is the earth still ghetto to y'all? Y'all think? I think.
It's very much get.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even watch her do that, bruh. Like I couldn't do it. Like you literally grab someone else's drink.
Mhm.
Not even a solid food, a drink. And I feel like that's even worse, right? Y'all got kids, right? When your kids ask for, hey, can I get a sip? You know, can I have some of that? You know,
They always do. Mhm.
And when they do that, and they mess around and have food right before, and they get them little chunks of food either on the straw, around the rim, or in the drink, that is now their drink, right? So
no, we still finish it. Go ahead.
Oh God, see, John,
that's what we do over here. We drink it. So go ahead.
You got it. So it's like I'm imagining stuff like that. I'm like, bruh, this is some random person in a time of like, forget about COVID for a second. We know that.
She had a mask on too. And took the mask on.
Took the mask off to get monkeypox.
That is
she's
so
like tiny monkeypox.
Reslurps. It's like
that's actually a good point. See, I didn't think about the fact that she lifted her mask down to drink a reused cup.
Take
Woman,
the mask off,
please, and lick the floor. Okay, lick the floor because that's what
you might as well.
You're into that kinky stuff. I mean, really? Yeah. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I'm done, man. I am completely.
The earth is still ghetto. That's what I wanted to make sure everybody still knew. T, do you have anything? Or are you good on this?
No, it's very ghetto. It's very ghetto.
It's very, very. I don't have the accent for it. It's giving you ghetto.
Giving a little bit ghetto.
Yeah, just a little bit. So something also went extra viral. A father cursed out children on school bus after his daughter was reportedly bullied by a girl on the bus. The kid's daughter started to basically almost fight the person, in his footage of it. And I actually wasn't too, I don't know what your thoughts are going to be about this one, but I actually have a bunch of thoughts, and I would love to know what you guys have to say about this one here. Here we go.
You should have touched me yesterday. I didn't touch her. I'm gonna flip this whole bus. Everybody on it. And I mean that. They go for everybody on her. Touch my daughter again. And I'm gonna flip this whole bus. I'm not playing. You don't let nobody touch my kids, bro. I'm not playing, bro. All that bully shit. All that big bully. Y'all got going on. I'm not playing. You gotta get your mama, your daddy, your uncle, and whoever. Let me say what I'm saying. My kids gonna put their hands on me. You didn't get fucked in. I didn't know nothing about it.
So the kids are crying. Terrence, you cannot start laughing as an educator. You are not allowed to laugh.
Oh my God.
Terrence, You are not allowed to laugh. You literally are the one person. I can
The
laugh
one
like
person
that.
that can't
You are the
laugh.
only person on this podcast that
I
has to
don't
be
live
like,
there. I don't
wow.
live there. I don't live there. First of all, sir, I'm gonna
So-
flip this whole but shut up.
No.
Shut up.
Terrence.
Like
So the fact
I need you to not be laughing though.
they are blue.
That you old to cry like that, Terrence? I mean, what are you saying? They can cry,
I
Terrence.
wish my son would come home and tell me he cried because somebody was in the front of the bus making threats.
But hold on. But Terrence, if your daughter came home crying
I
about
wish
a man,
my daughter would come home saying that she was crying because someone was, oh, flip this. I need you to listen.
you
listen.
really, Terrence? Really? That's
Listen.
interesting.
Come
I
on,
didn't
man.
think you would have that as a thought. I really
All right,
didn't.
I gotta work on it. I gotta work on it.
Maybe you need to.
okay, so
Maybe I need to.
let me tell y'all about my feelings, right?
Yeah,
I was
tell us about
hot. I'm sitting over here hot watching this because I get, you know what I'm saying, you hearing kids cry because this man is like yelling at them and threatening them and stuff like that. I'm just like, yo, how dare you threaten somebody else's kids, like people that you don't even know. These kids are traumatized. Probably for
Are
they
they?
want to remember that for
This
the
is
rest
my
of their
life,
life,
though.
right?
This is my life. This is like
So-
my life.
So it went from me being angry to laughing when you bust out laughing like, and you mocking these kids.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I didn't mean to.
Like,
There's a couple reasons why I'm laughing because I think they said that he followed the bus home. Sir, at this point, you could just take your child home.
You really could have just took your child off the bus.
I'm like,
but I think the child did. I don't know if the child was on the bus though, T. I don't know.
so
I don't know
why
if the child
you
was on the
follow-
bus.
So
I think he was trying to
show
show them like you can get this smoke at any time,
to
anybody.
these little kids, sir.
Yes.
You are a whole bitch. Like this is my opinion.
Terrence,
I'm sorry.
please.
Like,
Okay.
so listen, this
Wait.
happens.
we mark
this
explicit on the
I
podcast.
work here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like
This is
I
not
work
for
at a-
11-year-old children. Go ahead.
Even when it happened at my middle school, I had an issue with it. Like you are boarding the bus with sixth graders and you are firmly 38, 39, 40 years old, right? Like at this point, I'm like, all right, you're like, I get it. Now,
What do you do though? Because this is a concern of mine. I am
this
not
happens
joking.
in real life.
I know it does. Well, I know it. I'm saying this is a concern of mine as having
Yeah.
two young women, females in my house. And I don't know if it would be different if it was males. I don't know. But I'm just saying, it's me having a daughter of two young girls. I'm concerned about if somebody beats the brakes off of one of my kids.
Oh, whew. We got different. we got.
man.
You already know it's going.
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no talking to John about there's nothing. I'm going to pull up. I don't know. I'm okay. I'm going to pull up.
So
So
is that what happened? Is that what was happening, or is
he said that they were being bullied. The child was being bullied.
But see, so you so watch this. You have to remember what y'all got to remember, and it's hard for people to understand is that is such a trigger word, and it's a BS word. It's just a trigger word. What
Bully?
I'm saying is no. When someone claims bullying, because bullying occurs, right? Bullying definitely 100% occurs, and I understand someone flipping with that. I would say, in my experience, and I could be triggered. I'm always triggered, which is why I'm laughing. Is that when you get to the bottom of what really happened, and you realize it was your daughter running her mouth, it was your daughter going back behind the thing. It was, and then once
Provoking it,
once,
yeah.
yes, and then once the smoke hit the fan, she went, I was being bullied. Nah, you wasn't being bullied. And so a lot of times parents step in. I'm saying this is 90% of the time. Parents step in and parents get involved when and don't want to hold their child accountable. So I often have a different lens because I go back and look at, I review tape, I talk to witnesses and do all this stuff like, wait a minute.
No, LaJonica, when the smoke hits the fan.
Well, I couldn't curse anymore. I could not curse anymore, LaJonica. I got flagged.
She would not let it go.
What you not going to do is correct my friend. You're not going to correct my friend via the chat.
Look, I got flagged for cursing. So
when the smoke clears.
Like,
I hate her.
It hits the fan. Like
when the stuff hits the fan, go ahead, Terrence.
Yeah,
I'm
like
with you, bro. Don't
it's not bullying. All of it is not bullying. If you're
Yeah.
putting your mouth, if you are going back and forth, if you said you're going to do this and you're threatening, and then what I feel bad as I'm hearing you, John, is then I have to board the bus or I have to go up to the school and be tough guy. And if I do that, because I'm willing to do that. If I do that, see, it's a teacher talking. I love it. If I do that, and I come to find out you was the one running off your mouth, like that's gonna.
Now I look crazy, right? Like now I look crazy. I look like the crazy parent, the crazy dad that came on the bus yelling at the kids, telling them to stop bullying my kid. Okay, I get it.
But at the same time, I'm sorry, if I board the bus and I yell at the person, and then my daughter was the one that did it, even if the alternative was true, my daughter still has to live with the fact that her dad came on a bus and stood up for her, which doesn't fare really that well in the school system's like situation. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you need your dad to come step up for you." You know what I mean? Like that's just another bullying point for a lot of other situations. Like, "Oh, you can't even hold your own. You need the parents to step in. You need your dad. Where's your mommy at? Where's your daddy at?" Like that's to me. I mean, that's how it would have went down with me. If my mom and my dad came on a bus of Suitland High School and was like, "Don't you hit or talk about Jonathan anymore," and I got that violin strap around my back, and I'm sitting there like, "Oh my God, these niggas here are going to."
First of all,
right? Because when you leave, it's gonna be a wrap.
No,
Mom, please don't help me. Please don't help me.
Pause. Let's go back. A violin?
You already know. I'm a violinist.
You shouldn't have been on that damn bus with that violin.
In the first place.
I should walk to school, Terrence, because I'm a violinist.
You ain't talking tough with no violin. Like, you ain't talking tough.
I will beat the brakes off you with this violin.
And you got a flute in the back.
You're a hater. You're a hater. You're a hater.
But whole time
we're the biggest thugs in this. Go ahead.
So that narrative changes. That narrative changes if that ends up being like John's fifth violin because he cracks every one of those violins across somebody's face for bullying.
I'm going in. I'm using whatever's available to me to win. I want to win.
You beat somebody with a violin and go to jail for assault with a deadly weapon with them strings.
That's a terrible life. That means God doesn't love me as much as I thought he did, because that'd just be terrible. I'll just be upset with my life. The Seth Stone, y'all too tripping. Seth Stone says, but if, let me go down to his comment. But if he legit did something to another person, kid, you are asking to take it to another level that you probably won't be ready to take it to. Which is true.
What's going to happen is, I want to see the follow through, because then their parents are mad because you boarded the bus. And first of all, like at that age, I can almost understand if they're in high school, they're in elementary school, right? At that age, I'm going to the parent. Like the logic in me is saying, hey, I'll go to the school. I want to schedule a meeting with the parent.
I mean, they
I'm
kids,
going to the parent. They're kids.
Yeah.
In high school, I still think you should go to, but at that point, I kind of understand. At that point, I'm like, I get it. Like this 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, nah, bro. Like you bigger than me.
Yeah,
I'm walking around. I'm literally, and I'm like, I'm a whole 5'11" and a half, 275 pounds. I'm walking around with kids right now who are bigger than me, like a majority of them. And so I'm sitting like, I'm like, yo, how am I gonna break up fights here? How am I gonna break up fights here? Like, oh shoot, like, whoa.
They're middle schools or high schools?
These are high schools, and
they can push you around.
Bruh, and the thing is, I followed these kids. So I've known all 85% of these kids I've known since they were in the 6th grade. And to see them in 11th and 12th grade, and they're bigger than me. Like I'm walking around like they just walk in the hall and just, dude, like, bruh, you got to stop running.
They're like, do they call you Mr. Robinson or Mr. T?
Mr. T. I'm just like, nah, bro. Like nah.
What's up, Mr. T? Small fry. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's like, crazy, man.
Bro, it's a different
I don't know
world.
what I'm thinking in my mind. I'm thinking that you're the person that everybody goes to, like, hey, Mr. T, you take care of these little kids out here. But they're throwing you around. It sounds like to me.
Bro, I'm like, I made a joke the other day. They about, I think they about to fight. I said, I don't break up fights. That's why you're here. I said, oh yeah, I thought. That's why I thought I was here. You see him? You see that dude?
Yeah, because let me tell you something. The one time you try to break up a fight and you get thrown around, that'll never be the end. They'll be talking about you to the end of the time.
If the first fight I break up, I'm going to break my back on purpose. Like I'm going out. I am going out on medical leave.
You'll retire.
I'm done. I need light duty.
Sir, you are not. LaJonica says in high school, parents will roll up to the school and literally fight the kids. I don't know that to be true.
It happened on the first day of school.
On the
Right.
how on the first day of school before things even pop off for real?
I had to de-escalate a parent on the first day of school. He had all that energy. It was worse. He's like, "Yo, I will bury a kid." Do you understand? He's like, "I will bury one." Like he's literally at the bus stop with the kids. And
Yo, do you want to, let me tell you something? I'm like, sir, you know what? I'ma leave because I don't want you to feel like you need to bury me.
Like, and the thing is, John, here's the worst part. John, here's the worst part. I grew up with this guy. I went to church with him. We grew
not
up.
Church.
Bro,
Not church.
Listen, like
Not the
Junior,
deacon.
listen, and I'm sitting there like,
Deacon.
I said, listen. I said, let me handle it. I'm like, yo, I understand your frustration. I get it. I said, but your son needs his dad. I don't want the police to have to get involved. Just let me handle it.
You didn't want to say let Jesus handle it? Because that's what he's supposed to be.
He don't care. Yo, he don't care about this. He already here.
He said,
that's hilarious.
He left because he knew me. He knew, like, he knew I had a relationship with his son. And, you know, I'm going to try my best to make sure nothing happens, whatever it was. Like, you know, but again, when I peeled back the surface, I found his son was running his mouth on social media. So it's just like, it's just like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm in the comment section right now. LaJonica just said kids will wait to fight at school because they know somebody will break it up.
Facts.
So I've been hold on. You mean to tell me I could have been in school acting like the tough guy if I wanted to and be like, yo, no, hold me back, shorty. He don't want this smoke.
Facts.
And then they break it up and I'm good. I'm looking at I'm the strongest man in the crew right now.
So let me tell you something, John. It did not go down like that in Suitland High School. If you gonna sit there and start a fight with somebody, the administrators is not quick enough. Not big enough.
You right.
They just ain't there to save you in time.
And
what happened I'm like, this sounds really like Lean on Me,
bro.
No, Suitland is like Gangsta's Paradise, brother. I'm telling you right now. They back when we was there, it was real, man. For real. Yeah. I'm not even trying to be funny. It was real.
I was literally talking to a coworker about this today. I was literally talking to a coworker.
It's not in Baltimore, though, right?
I mean, listen, I do joke on Baltimore a lot, but if we're honest right now, if I leave my house right now and go to Baltimore, I'm sure somebody's getting killed right now. I just believe PG is better than Baltimore in every way. I'm sorry. I just believe it. No matter where I go in Baltimore, somebody's dying.
You know what? What I think about PG County, difference from Baltimore. Baltimore, I would say they about that life. PG County is like, yo, you want to be hard so bad. Like, you want to be gangster so bad. You live in PG County, so you ain't that bad off.
That's what we think, too.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
just to be clear.
But that's the crazy part, man. It's like it's folks out there that ain't even been brought up like that. But that's legit, like, oh yeah, I run these streets, man. I kill a dude. Like, for what though? Like, you ain't even built like that.
You got land. Your parents own property.
Boy,
like, what are you
doing? Land.
What are you doing? Like,
there's no reason for this.
There's no reason for it at all.
Man, I don't get it.
That's listen, I just learned a lot of things about something that I had no idea. I didn't have no idea that you could just go out here and act like you was about to fight and not really about to fight. Like, I would have started so many more fights knowing that, honestly. Look at this, guys.
It'd be like what he said in the third, but the foundation of Black families, especially a strong father figure, is needed. This isn't a good representation of it, in my opinion.
You know, I'm going to go with you on this one. I think Nick Cannon's a great guy. I think he's successful. And the same, you know, we go in on people like Future, and not to say that he's the same, but it's just at the end of the day, there are a lot of, I don't know how with his so busy, and Nick Cannon has an empire. He has an empire. So do you have time for all these kids? I barely today.
And not to be there to take pictures, and it's cute. And oh my God, I'm at the birthday party. You know, children deserve a father figure, especially young boys. They need positive father figures, especially African-American, because they Black.
So I have a question, because this is a video of Vivica Fox saying she doesn't like what Nick Cannon is doing by making all these kids. Basically, he has 10 kids, and she's saying it's not a good representation of a strong family figure in the family. And I have a question, because I'm like, I actually disagree, and I would want to know y'all thoughts. I get that Nick Cannon's out here smashing a bunch of youngins, like, and he's having a bunch of kids through that process, right? But at the same time, Nick Cannon is actually like obviously very wealthy, has a whole, like they already admitting that he has a whole team, does his thing. Wouldn't it be better for, I don't know, a son to see their father or a daughter to see their father getting it like that in that manner, even if it's not like a father that's ultra present and ultra around, like super like involved? Would you wouldn't think it's better to see? Now hold on, not now. Before you answer, table that or parallel that to the conversations that we just had about self-esteem, that conversation we had about self-image and development in our minds, thinking that we can do certain things. That reality would be made clear through seeing a father. Now, granted that he's not present, but he's also successful and has multiple millions of dollars. Something I can aspire towards as a son.
I think you would have that mentality once you were older. I think in the midst of it, you're just, my dad's not here. I think no matter how you slice it, my dad's not here. Like I think the educator in me, like an absent dad. I think yes, he's better off. The kid is better off. I think if you're doing comparison of an absent dad with no money versus an absent dad with money and instead of money, yes, that is a little bit better because if you're talking about across the board, we're the same and they're both absent. But at the end of the day, if you could take an absent dad who is wealthy and compare it strokes for an active dad who is active in their life and is not wealthy, and that kid has the capabilities to probably be more successful. So because you just need, I don't even want to say in the home, you just need to be present and active. And so if I'm honest, Nick Cannon is doing this purposely. Like I've heard him talk about it before.
No, he is. He's doing it purposely.
He's procreating purposefully.
Procreating.
And yes, and I get it. I mean, I don't get it. You know, whatever it was. I don't think this is about vagina for him. He's literally purposely doing this. And so my thing is, it's just you can't be everywhere at every time.
The question is it irresponsible? That's the first.
Very irresponsible.
Hold on. The first question is it irresponsible? The second question, because I'm looking at LaJonica's comment, and I hear her. She's saying resources do not make someone a good father, and I hear that. Yeah. But also the narrative of a lot of things that I hear, TikToks, Instagram, whatever, is if they're a provider, they're a good dad. And you don't hear a present dad being a good dad. That narrative is not the thing that's overly spoken. And you hear that it's spoken. A present dad is I'm talking about from the other side, not from men, from women. Yeah, they say I want a present husband or present boyfriend. That's different. They say I want money.
That's two different things. I think a provider could make you a better spouse. I think you being a provider by itself won't make you a better father. I think that's 2 points. I could be a better partner and a better spouse because I'm providing resources for you. A child, especially in their grown age, a baby, they need resources. But honestly, kids get more expensive as they get older. Like clothes and shoes and a car that gets as they get older. When they're little, John, you remember how much, like, other than formula, if you had to buy formula and diapers, their food was not expensive as it is right now. I gotta buy you a whole meal. Like makes sense. Like it's just
ridiculous. That's a whole nother grown person. You gotta buy a meal for.
I gotta send you to driving school. I gotta maybe pay for your college. So that stuff is great as you get older, but as you're growing up, none of that crap matters, especially not to them. They will just know you were not there.
So I want to take a different lane and go from a place of like, it depends on whose lens you're looking through. So Terrence, I get your point as far as like, being provider versus being a good dad. But from the child's perspective, like thinking about it from a child's perspective, you would say, hey, if my dad is buying me all my gifts, if he's providing for me, you making sure I'm eating, everything like that, I see him every once in a while, that's cool. But if he's doing all these things like to, the things that I think I want and think I like, then to that kid, he's a good dad. Like he can see that his dad is doing no wrong. It's not until the child starts to see like what a good father is supposed to be,
for sure,
to question that, right? So you think about like social acceptance and things that go on within like high school, elementary school, whatever the case. You know, you can sit back and say if the kid is around a bunch of other kids, dads that are doing the same thing. So if that's all they know and all those kids are being provided for and everybody's happy about their things, able to share like with each other how they got all these things for birthdays and for Christmas and everything like that, the kid's going to be like, oh yeah, he's a good dad. I love my dad. My dad's doing a great job.
I'm sorry. They're doing a great job in the comment section of making me think.
Yeah.
And that's why I was already going to go that direction. LaJonica said, aside from money and material things, what makes a good father? Because it's this kind of ethereal thinking that bothers me so much. Is this idea of like, oh, you're a good dad or you're a bad dad. What is that based off of? Because that's what I was kind of like getting to about even Nick Cannon. If he provides for his family according to social media, not according to whatever else, social media alone, he's a good father because he provides. That's social media. Now, she's saying, LaJonica saying, aside from money and material things, what actually makes a good father?
Yeah,
because good is so relative, as she said.
So and that's kind of the point that I was making, like with the lens, right? I'm painting this picture of like seeing it from the child's perspective, everything's good. It's not until they start to see like the things that they are missing, right? Say if you got a kid that's getting all these things for their birthday, you know, getting paid for X, Y, Z, getting these shoes, whatever, but then you show up at a football game. You and another another player has like a football game, and you see that their dad is always there. Their dad's supporting them. Their dad is giving them encouragement. Their dad is like providing them with life lessons and stuff like that. The kids converse with each other and say, hey man, my dad taught me how to do X, Y, and Z. You know, let me show you. Dang, I wish my dad would have taught me something like that. Dang, I wish my dad was at my football game. Dang, I wish my dad would talk to me like and give me life lessons. It's not until they start to, you know, realize what they're missing, then they realize, yo, my dad is probably actually crap. You know what I'm saying? He's not here. Yeah.
He's not present.
He's not present. So to answer LaJonica's question about like what makes a good father, in my opinion, it goes, of course, it goes beyond the materialistic. We all know that here. Like it's about being able to share life experiences with the child to be able to help them, like build them up into the person that they need to be, that God desires them to be. Not necessarily what you desire them to be, but what they need to be able to be successful, be able to survive, be able to provide for themselves and their own family, you know, things like that. That's what I think a good father.
I hear that. I think there's a certain desire of whatever you feel. I mean, I hear what you're saying about, you don't put impact within them with whatever you think you do what God wants for them. But I feel like you believe within your own mind, whatever you went through to a certain degree was good for you, was good for them. To a certain degree, you know. So and some of it you don't feel, right? You don't, some of that you're like, man, the stuff I went through with Pops, I'm not about to have you go through because it's crazy over here, right? But no, but in all seriousness, it's funny because, man, if I'm really transparent and honest, man, it almost it's sad because it will bring you to tears, because it's like you think you want to be a provider, like in a way that they have had things that you never have had, and it gets it gets infinitely more difficult because we've had things that we've never had, like my life right now, and I'm sure most of y'all lives right now, our parents didn't have that life. They didn't have the amount of money that we make, with the house that we had as early as we had it, to the size or magnitude that we had it, with the cars and all that. We had access to more, and bar none, than our parents did in most cases. So it's like, so with that being the floor, right? Then now we're trying to level it up for our own children. Right now, as 30-something, 40-somethings, and soon to be's, like not soon to be's, because I don't want to say you're about to have kids, but in life you're gonna have kids. I don't want to make it seem like you're about to have it tomorrow. But regardless of the case, it's like, yo, with that being the case, it's like, man, you feel, especially, and then like add the social media on top of all of that, you're not a father until you provide. You're not a father. And when I say provide, I don't mean just the normative things. It's like, oh no, until you provide, you don't have a college fund by the time that they're 2. You know, you don't have their stuff figured out, stocks, bonds, and their mutual funds and all that. It's like social media has like made this whole thing happen a lot faster and put more pressure, which kind of adds to our earlier conversation of Terrence was talking about. Like, yo, now I feel the weight Everything is a weight. It's no longer like, oh, I mean, man, before I had kids, there was not the weight. I was just like living life. But then the weight happened when the kids happen because you're like, oh, I gotta feed your tail every day, and then I gotta make sure you have
responsibility.
College, and I gotta make sure you have a car. I want to make sure you have resources and funds. And the way that my dad gives to me, I want to be give to you. The idea of a good father has just been lost to me, in my opinion, as a father. I'm actively a dad right now. Terrence is actively a dad right now. I am sure that we both are ambiguous or have no full understanding of what it means to be a dad in 2022, according to at least the world standards. We have our own view.
Yeah.
But we're as being a father, it's just like it's all about provider from what I've seen. Let's be real.
So I also think that the question is like kind of loaded because what does it mean to be a good father to other people or to your child? And I think your child's view of that, as Michael was saying, is going to change as they get older. Like when I was a kid, I couldn't stand my stepfather. You not my dad, you ain't my real dad, you ain't this.
You ain't say that
like,
to him though.
Oh my
you
God.
ain't say you're not my real dad.
Oh my God,
yes,
I
into the
did.
wall.
Oh yes, I did. Oh my God, he disciplined me real quick. He's not even my dad. Blah blah.
That's why you're bald. That's exactly why you're bald.
And mind you, look,
payback is a mother.
Listen, mind you, my dad was not active at all. Like my real dad was nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Like literally non-existent.
Yeah.
Literally. And so as I get older, like I've had to embrace who picked me up and dropped me off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like legitimately, my mom was a teacher. All these trips we were taking to Disney World, he had my stepfather had a job. She ain't pay for that by herself, right? When we got gifts for Christmas, she wasn't the only one buying those. I'm literally ridiculing this man, and literally he had to take over somebody else's job. So it's just like as I got older, I kind of like had to appreciate it more, and so the level of respect I have for him now is vastly different than I had grown up in his house. And so I'm just realizing, like to what Mike was talking about earlier. So the viewpoint of what it takes to be a good dad for the child is going to change, and it is very difficult for you as a father, like to realize when I let my child down at a young age, I'm letting them down at a young age. I failed my child, or I gotta discipline my child, hold them accountable at a young age, and we just be like, oh, I want to give in, like whatever it was, without recognizing when they get older, they will appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like I see students every day who do not appreciate their parents. But whenever I see a mom and a dad both come to school, I'm like, you don't understand how you got it made. Like makes it like take an active role. I'm not talking about just showing up. Like pick up the phone first. It's beautiful when I see a dad, the first one to come like first. Like I get it when a woman comes, like the mom comes, but it's like, oh yeah, no, call my dad. Like call my dad. It's just like, yo, I'd be like, you don't understand. Awesome. It's awesome. So just like, so it is not just being, somebody said a comment earlier, like you could be a live-in father and be bad. I don't think it's about just living there. It's about, that's why I said being present, because you cannot live there and be present.
Yeah.
You know, like I've seen beautiful co-parenting situations. Like I have one student, beautiful co-parent, and I can tell why the student, and we all know her. I can tell why the student is. She just, it's amazing to see her walk through my community, which is very challenging, and to see this 6th grader, 7th grader, now 8th grader walk through and not pick up on the stupid bad habits in this community is because she's being co-parented very well.
Yeah, that's good.
That stuff, like the peer pressures and all this stuff, like, nah, I'm cool. You know,
nah, that's really dope, man. I wanted to make a comment about like your reflection, right? Can you say that it wasn't until you gained responsibilities of being a dad, or at least similar responsibilities, until you gained an appreciation for what your stepdad did for you?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. Yeah, definitely. I would say that, and I think being an educator, and then realizing I think how common my story was, and realizing, and then also just realizing like I said again, I had to realize like the ability for another guy to step in, because men are really big about their lineage. and men are really big about like passing down. Makes sense. And so by blood, you're not mine. You know, but I can still pass something down to you, even though you're not mine.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying. And so that's when it kind of dawned on me, like when I got it's my too. When I got older, when I became a dad, realizing like, okay, then I started doing some things that my stepfather did that I'm like, oh shoot, like like you're like, oh
like,
dang,
that makes sense. It makes sense to
like,
do that.
I get it, like
Yeah, and it's not just like you said, you being a dad, but it's more so the experiences that you had a chance to go through that allowed you to be able to see it from your stepdad's lens. So that goes to what you were saying, like the kids aren't going to be able to appreciate it until they go through what you've gone through and be like, oh shoot, that's why he did X, Y, and Z. I appreciate him for that. So it's a long game. Like raising kids, from what I gather, it's a long game. Like,
it's hell. Let me tell you something. It's hell. But it's nah, in all seriousness, it's a lot. And I was looking at some of the comments. One of the things that I loved, I mean, I really truly, and I don't mean this just for the podcast, I really loved was Alicia's comment. Some parents worry that they're not enough, but to their children, they're everything. Their presence and love are enough. Obviously, in addition to meeting their needs and some wants. And it's one of those things that you want to be enough. You want to feel like you're enough, but it's always a feeling of a deficit. There's always a feeling of not enough, especially with the world that we're living in. So, and it's just I'm just trying to be honest as I can about the topic of being a dad in 2022. And so that's why I was perplexed by Vivica Fox's statement. That's where the initial thing came from. But I even appreciate Terrence's outlook about the whole idea of another man saying, hey man, I'll take you on, because man, let me tell you, I mean, Terrence knows, hey Mike, we used to shoot at my dad's spot. That's where we used to shoot the podcast. And my dad and our relationship is so, to me, unconventional. I don't see it duplicated many other places, because my dad has become my best friend. We hang out, we talk, we do things together. And it's just so interesting to me, because I'm like, I'm super blessed, but he never had that with his dad. So I often look at him like, I don't know where you got that from. That idea of how you are to be the man that you became. Where did you get it from? Because you didn't get it from your dad. Your dad wasn't present. And so he just had these things. I mean, obviously he's a Christian. He took on Christian morals and Christian standards, of course. And he passed those things into me as well. And so those things are like critical, right? But I mean, I don't want to diminish Christianity at all, but man, a dad being present, a dad showing up. Like a lot of things that we saw here on these comment sections are dads showing up, and that being something that's unheard of in a lot of spaces. So for me as a father, I know going to take my daughter to school every morning and picking up from school every morning, that for me is everything as a dad. Because my dad was good for my family, and I'm like, I want to be good for my girls, that they know, hey, I am here. I'm gonna be here. You call me, I'm gonna show up. I'm not gonna be one of them dads that don't show up. I'm gonna be there, and they're gonna be mad because I'm gonna be there all the time. Type dad. I'm not. So I'm hoping that is counteractive to a lot of the negative narratives that we get as men. And I'm glad that I'm always have been associated with the guys that are on this podcast that I believe have like literally made me into the guy that I am today, because they're like, yo, you gotta be better. And this is why. And Terrence had kids before I did. And so I got to see him be a dad. Now I'm a dad, and then Mike's going to be a dad in life, So it's like we all looking to each other to be and become through this whole thing, because it's not because of anything other than the fact that we're like community to each other. So I don't know. That's what I think about it.
Yeah, man. I think I wanted to comment on what you were saying about like your dad not experiencing that with his dad growing up, and that's similar to Terrence, your situation, right? But I enjoy moments where great things can be birthed from pain and tragedy, right? And not to say that him not experiencing those things was so tragic, but it was something that he felt as though it was a lack. There was probably a lack in his life that he didn't he eventually realized that he he needed and he wanted to make sure you had, right? And John, in reference to like you and your dad. So pain can be a good motivator sometimes. And granted, not for everything, right? Pain shouldn't always be the motivation to do all great things.
Right.
But just like sometimes, working out in the gym, people go to the gym to work out because either they don't like the way they look, they don't like the way they feel. And it gets to a point where it's just like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I need to make a change. I need to do something different. So I just wanted to comment on that, man. Like great things can still come from tragic moments. Great things can still come from the negative. We just got to choose to pick the meat from the bone when it comes to a situation like that.
100%. I looked at LaJonica's point. I appreciate that my mom, as a single parent, knew that she couldn't be my everything, but made sure I have positive influence that I could glean from. And I think that's important too, because I think sometimes moms try to, and I know that, moms try to always overcompensate in a lot of spaces to try to be the dad and the mom.
Yeah.
So really giving that space to be like, all right, let me operate in my space and let me try to let him be him, or whoever that father figure can be in your life, But I think one of the other things that I saw that I want to highlight before we hop off is that this idea of mentorship. One of the things that I know I have a passion for, and I know some of you guys as well, is the idea of like, man, with all that we've had from our fathers or our stepfathers or what have you, we have to be better as men eventually too, to be able to say, okay, let's impact this next generation with the empty fathers that they may have or may not have. The spaces that are empty and they need a dad or they need a dad-like figure. We do have to be the ones to say like, yo, because I know this is a deficit in our community, it's taking that step up, meaning like, no, I will step up, not be your dad, obviously, but be a mentor for you and be a help to you to help navigate this world. Because I can, with the level of, like, it's funny, before we start this podcast, guys, offline, Terrence and I was talking, I was like, man, because Terrence, I was like, man, we were just, how you just hop on we hop on a little studio or whatever, and we're just talking. We're just like, yo, it's so hard to be a man. It's just hard to be a guy. It's hard to be whatever. And I was and he was saying that, and I was saying that too. And I was like, man, I was like, T, you're older than me. I'm joking. T, you're older than me. You're 40. And I got nothing to look forward to. I'm 36. I'm gonna be 40 in 4 years. I don't want to be like just equally lost as but the reality is that you are lost. And I am lost because we didn't do enough mentorship along the way. For somebody else didn't take me on. Like, of course, my dad was great, but of course, also, what would a community of men look like around me that were all pouring into me too, as well as my dad being present? How much further along would that propel me in my life? Because not only did I have my father, but I had men around me to say, oh yeah, man, you need to look out for this and think about this, check this book out, man, plan for this. And so like a lot of our mentality as Black men is to be like, yo, let's figure in the 30-year-old period, we're all like, yo, let's get it. Let's figure it out financially for our families, for our kids, our legacy, etc. But also, I just want us to remember that we have to look back at people younger than us, our 20-somethings friends, our 10-something, 10-year-old friends that are Black and brown like us, and say, man, how are we going to help navigate their world for them?
Listen, that comment LaJonica made just scared me, because I be looking at my students and be like, yo, these people are going to be responsible for my pension, like or my Social Security, like I don't even like that's I'm uncomfortable. And then I see these dummies, this generation, record themselves committing crimes and realize we're safe. Like, because these fools will literally record a crime and post it, and like, how did I get caught? Like
you just literally did a live stream. You did a live stream,
like,
and invited the cops. Invited the cops to the live stream.
It's like the Mike offline. Mike said the video to us, and I was laughing. It was I think she was a district attorney. She was talking about how she was arresting these rappers for like they recorded songs that they literally recorded songs that admitted the crimes they were doing.
The RICO jump.
Right.
And people are like, man, like, you can't do that. Yes, I can, because they literally said what they were doing, and then they went and did it.
In the rap. And
they confessed.
Like,
but I will say I watched the interview with Joe Budden on the Pivot podcast, or not Pivot, the I Am Athlete podcast. and he was talking about how he's like they should do the work of like actually investigating. I mean, I guess they are doing the work by listening to the rap song, and aligning the criminal acts along with the rap song. But he was just saying they should do the work.
Yeah. Whole time when you see detectives in their cars, you see them with their headphones on, man, they not listening to music just to listen.
They're rocking out to the news.
They trying to wrap this case up so they can make it home for dinner.
What'd you say? Shot him with the 9, shot him with the tech. 10-20, go pick him up.
Yeah, just pick that guy
go
up.
Pick him up.
Yo, I want to say as we close, yo, Alicia made a great point. She said, I wish I had mentors. It would have kept me from so much. And I could not agree more. I mean, I listened to this. I told you guys I listened to this podcast. Not even a podcast, it's actually a radio show. From the Heart. I think it's from the heart. It's straight from the heart with Kevin Hart. And it's like 5 men talking about just kicking around talking about stupid stuff. And it's crazy, it's funny, I laugh or whatever. But some of the things they talk about, it's so good for me because they're older men and they talk about things that I know I'm gonna have to deal with in my own life. And it's coming. And I'm like, I love that podcast because I'm like, I need to know. And it's so sad that I had to look to a freaking radio show and I don't have a community of men. It's like, yeah, this is what's coming up. And you can hit me up because I know it's coming. And you're going to be blown when it does. So mentorship is a huge portion of what we're missing in our community. And Alicia, I hope you do find mentorship from the elders, because they do have something that they can offer to us. You know, they do have something.
Yeah, Alicia, you're not the only one. Several combos have been had within like my other like small circles. And even for myself, like I desire mentorship too, man. And I think it takes a certain level of self-awareness to be able to get to that point to say, yo, I need mentorship. Because some folks just like, nah, I know it all. I got it. I'm good. I'm going to figure it out on my own. Nice. So focused on right now rather than focusing on the future and the what if, you know what I'm saying? And in order to be ready for the what if, I need some folks to be able to like pour into me and give me some wisdom so I can be prepared. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, so we didn't even really get into the main meat and potatoes of the conversation today, but we did get into some good stuff. I think we talked about a lot of things that were relative to our community and things that I hope we can be reflective of as we go throughout the week. Man, we want to eventually, I know that my guys want to eventually mentor and help other Black men, you know, like navigate through this life because we don't want them to be lost as we have been lost and had to figure things out. Even though our parents were there, like a lot of our parents were there, we still had to figure it out. So LaJonka says we all want to make money, but somebody got to go to work. That's so true. And because of that, we're going to hop off of here so we can get back to sleep and go to work tomorrow because Terrence is about to literally pass out right there on camera. So my name is John.
My name is Mike.
And I'm just wondering, John, so when you carried your violin on the bus, right?
You know what?
I just want to know, did you like rap? It was the
it really was like a sling, right? It was like a sling. So
it was a satchel. It was a satchel that I had.
Your violin, like, did you take
the thing out
and say, you better not threaten me because you had
It's ridiculous. Guys, thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. We appreciate you.